Hello, everybody. Welcome to another episode of Erica Schmerica's Reality Recaps. Today, we're going to be talking about 90 Day Fiancé Before the 90 Days, Season 5, Episode 3. We get to meet a whole new couple. I'm so excited to talk about it. If you haven't done so already, please make sure to like and subscribe to my YouTube channel, and let's get started. So this episode, we finally got to meet this woman who we've been seeing in all of the previews for this season, Ella, who's 29 and comes from the state of Idaho. Now, I've personally never even met anybody from the state of Idaho except Napoleon Dynamite, and I didn't even know him personally. I've been living in a purple house who loves all things anime and Asian. Basically, she is like a self-proclaimed Japanophile. She's a bit of a bigger girl, and she seemed to have had a hard time with love in the past. And, with all of her interests in all things Asian, she decided to go to some website where it was like Asian men seeking white women. And she met Johnny, who is a 30-something-year-old divorced dad from China. So Johnny's about to come over to Idaho on his 3-month visa to feel things out, and hopefully that they can get married and he can come over and later on bring his son, whose name is Stony. His son is named Stony, which means that eventually Stony will be Ella's step Stony. If things weren't weird enough in the previews with her stabbing, a mannequin in her front yard with a samurai sword and dressing up in all these cosplay outfits, she also collects dragons. And she works on her family ranch in Idaho, riding horseback and herding cattle. So she's hoping that Johnny will come over, they'll get married, and then the two of them can take over the family ranch and everything will. So she went ahead and met up with her girlfriends for lunch. And they were all talking about, her romance with Johnny and how excited she was for him to come over. And in the meantime, they keep saying, well, don't get your hopes up. You don't know how it's going to go. And it seemed like her mother, when she talked to her during the episode, and her friends were all very down on her about her weight. She's a bigger girl, bigger in stature as well as size. And she just, seemed to kind of have some bad self-esteem. And her friends weren't helping, in my opinion. In any case, Johnny's got the healthy meals on the way. The whole thing's got this very 16 candles long duck dong quality about it. Then there were Caleb and Alina, who were back at the airport getting ready for their big meeting, which was a little anticlimactic. I mean, Alina was sitting there so excited, waiting, and Caleb just walked out with that sock on his head with his tight little pants, looking like, Where's Waldo went to a Morrissey concert, and he's strutting around. He sees her and he's just kind of oh, he just seemed stunned. Alina, I guess he knew that she was a little person, but he didn't understand how little in comparison to his own size. He seems kind of tall, and she basically came up to his crotch. Although I'm thinking that's all he kind of cares about, but nonetheless, he was shocked in person. And I don't think he was fully prepared for, all the help that she would need help with her wheelchair and getting around, because I don't think he was really paying attention when she was talking. Anyway, so for 13 years. So anyway, the two of them had this awkward hug. He decided he's going to get down on his knees in the airport so that they could talk eye to eye. I'm sure she loved hearing that, where he gave her this lukewarm hug, no kiss. And then, they awkwardly went off to baggage claim, where he kind of made suggestions that she should help him with his luggage. Okay, not going to happen. Anyway, they get in the cab. He's looking a million miles out the window. She's hanging on to him. They're having this awkward conversation comparing how much bigger his hand is, how much longer his hair is. And then they finally get back to the hotel, where he realizes what a colossal asshole he is by not booking a hotel with an elevator, let alone anything wheelchair accessible. So he has to carry Alina up the stairs, and she's trying to be flirtatious, ooh, here we go. So they get up to the hotel room, and he lifts her up and puts her onto the bed, and then tells her, you have this moment where it looks like they might have their first kiss. And then he backs down and says he's just spiritually, mentally drained, he just is going to need a minute, So he leaves to take a shower, leaves her high and dry, literally high and dry, because she's up high on a bed she can't get off of. Anyway, I hope he doesn't break her heart into 1 million tiny little pieces, and thank God Elijah is there. Back in Panama, we caught up with Gino and Jasmine. So they're going to their first big dinner night out as a couple, kind of like their first real date. So they went to a restaurant. I think it was at the hotel, and they sat down. They're having a nice time. They're having some wine. They're chit chatting. Their giggles are intermixing. It's lovely. And he wants to sample some real, authentic Panama cuisine. So he orders a cheeseburger with American cheese. Jasmine is a vegan, much like Natalie. Kind of had a whole like Natalie with the like judgy vegan thing going on. And now we have Jasmine, who's just kind of like looking at Gino as he's eating his burger, calling him a T-Rex. Anyway, they're talking over dinner, and Gino hears a like message notification go off on Jasmine's phone. So he's like, "Who's that?" And she's like, "Oh, I'll show you." She goes over, very openly, swipes away, shows him the message on her phone, which is from a girlfriend of hers. And he's like, "Oh, okay." And then she's like, "Now show me yours." At the end of the dinner, the check comes, and Gino goes ahead to pick up the tab, and he, is tipping the waitress when Jasmine flips out and says that in Panama, you do not tip the waitress. And these Americans are setting a bad precedence for, Panamanians who don't want to tip. Or can't afford to. So in the meantime, Gino's like, "Well, this is customary. I'm going to leave her at least a 15% tip." And Jasmine turns around and accuses him of having a fling with the waitress. Okay, all bets are off. Absolutely crazy. Your crazy is showing. So then her mood is immediately soured, ruined the whole night. She's like so rude to him, like, "I stopped listening to you 5 minutes ago. You ruined everything." He just kind of like doesn't know what to do. He awkwardly sits there in his hat, of course, and he's like trying to drink water through his face mask. It's getting really awkward. So then they head out of the restaurant, back to the hotel room. He's like, "Do I take my blue pills or not?" Like he doesn't know if he should even go for that because he's thinking this is going to be their first intimate encounter, but now she's in such a bad mood. So she says, she needs some time alone, and she goes to the bathroom where she's making all kind of weird noises. So while he's shuffling around the hotel room trying to decide on taking his little blue pills or not, she comes out in a blue pill colored negligee to surprise him, and her mood is completely changed back into happy Jasmine. And they lay down in the bed together to gross us all out with their like pre-sexy time festivities. Here's to hoping, Gino was able to rise to the occasion without his little blue friends. Then there were Kimbali and international superstar Soulja Boy. So this was the big episode where Kimbali was about to meet her Michael Jackson Part 2 Soulja Boy in Tanzania, where she flew all by herself, leaving her mother behind to meet the superstar of her dreams as his potential girlfriend. So Kimbali arrived, and she did probably what most people shouldn't do when they go travel across the world by themselves. She went up to the first cab driver who introduced himself to her and, said, "Hi, I'm traveling all by myself across the world to meet a stranger. Do you want to take me to my hotel?" Probably a bad idea. She's actually a Desert Storm veteran. So clam claps. Thank you very much for your service. Thank you very much for your service this season on 90 Day Fiancé before the 90 days. Anyway, so she goes to her hotel room to freshen up a little bit, puts on a very fresh Soulja Boy themed t-shirt. I mean, does this woman have a cricket? Like, what is she doing? How is she making all of these Soulja Boy themed t-shirts? And she's, puts her hair in a little ponytail, like right here with her hoop earrings. And she's like, "Damn, Kim, I look good." And she's heading right out to the airport to go pick up Usman. So when she gets there, she sees him. She brings him a bouquet of flowers, and they run and like hug each other. And then meanwhile, minutes later, Soulja Boy's entourage comes out and they call her a super fan. So of course she gets really offended because being a regular fan is apparently non-offensive, while being a super fan is something totally offensive that you just do not say. So Soulja Boy made it clear that she is not a super fan and that she's a potential. Invited him back to her honeymoon suite where she slipped in something really comfortable, a coral colored t-shirt that kind of matched Soulja Boy's own t-shirt with another picture of Soulja Boy on it. She's got like a whole wardrobe of Soulja Boy going on. She took a page out of the Rebecca handbook on this one. She maybe even used like code Rebecca20 to get her discount from Vistaprint. So Kimbali then presented Soulja Boy with his gifts that she brought, which was a MacBook Pro and then a PS5 like PlayStation for him. He was so much more excited to see this PlayStation than he was to see Kimbali, and he was hugging and kissing it. And she even admitted to being a little bit jealous of the gaming device. Meanwhile, I bet her son's sitting back in California like, where the hell did my PlayStation go? Then there were Mike and Ximena. So Mike flew all the way to Colombia to meet up with Ximena, who does not live in Bucaramanga, which is still my favorite word to say. So we had a little meeting with Ximena. We got to see her and hear what her life experience is. She's a 24-year-old mother of 2 boys. Meanwhile, one is 9. One is 9. That means that she could have been on Teen Mom, Love After Lockup, and yet 90 Day. She is a mother to her older son and then her younger son, whose name is Harold Stephen. Harold Stephen. Okay, he's 3. His name is Harold Stephen. Big name for a little guy. The father of Jimena's oldest son was a one-night stand when she was apparently 14, 15. So she had met her second baby daddy on Facebook, but he was already incarcerated for defending his uncle, and things got a bit too far. I'm pretty sure she's insinuating that he's a murderer. In any case, she met him. She went to visit him in 2 conjugal visits after doing a handstand or something she described of going upside down. She was impregnated with Harold Stephen. I don't know if she was hoping that he would grow up to be an accountant or whatnot. She, confessed that she was still in love with this inmate, but in the meantime needed a meal ticket for her and her boys. So she found Mike on the internet, and although she admitted to not being attracted to him physically, she was attracted to the fact that he sent her money. And she showed us around her apartamento, that's apartment, Kenny, showing us her beautiful 90s dinette set, her refrigerator, her blender, and all of these household appliances that Mike had provided for her and her family. Can't wait for them to meet up next week and see Mike's big debut in Colombia. And I just hope he doesn't wake up with any missing internal organs. Then there were Memphis and Hamza. So Memphis is finally landing in Tunisia, ready to meet her dashing man, Hamza, who really just has a good beard and good hair. These women from the US are just into these beards. And I think this is why Tunisia is really a hot spot for 90 Day Fiance currently. So we got to meet Hamza this episode, and he lives at home with his mother, who is a single mother. And he's somewhat of a mama's boy. His mother does everything for him, and he has all the respect for his mom. And he's hoping that things really work out with Memphis so he can send money home to harvest the American dollar, to quote Mother Chantel, back to his mother so she can have a better life. Anyway, so Hamza's very excited, except he's really upset that he isn't going to get to stay in the same room as Memphis because his mother will not allow that until after marriage, which we all know is week 2. Got to take things slow. So anyway, Mother Hamza made sure to make things nice for Memphis by changing the sheets from these toddler little farmhouse sheets to some nice white linen she picked up from Bed Bath & Beyond Tunisia, and then purchased a beautiful bouquet of flowers for Memphis for her son to bring to make him look good. Hamza, who doesn't drive, yet another positive attribute, heads over to the airport to meet up with Memphis, and they hug and they unite, and they're so excited to see each other, and it's supposed to be the most romantic moment, and she's explaining how amazing it is and surreal and all this, and then they ask Hamza how do you feel in this moment? He's like, no problem, just the warm fuzzies that you want to feel from a first meeting. Looking forward to seeing what Brittany and Yazin 2.0 have in store for us next week. Thanks so much for joining me for another episode of Erica Schmerica's Reality Recap. If you haven't done so already, please make sure to like and subscribe to the new YouTube channel and hit that notification bell to get notified about all new videos I'll be posting. Bye, guys.